Hey, what's going on, PC fam? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Obviously, depending on where you are in this beautiful world. Another episode of Chill with Chill. Happy to have y'all. What's going on, Chill Town? How's it going?
In effect, yo, we in effect. It's Saturday. We got some really good basketball. We got some really good conversation today, man. We do. We got some really good conversation today. I'm feeling it. Definitely.
Yeah. Man, the season, man. I feel like, obviously preseason's on, and that's good. You know, that's scratching my itch a little bit. I went to the Motor Center the other night, got some good basketball in. Seen them play the Suns. So man, I'm ready to go. I can't wait.
What is it, Big Ox? I'm glad you brought that up, because do you find yourself now paying more attention to the preseason and paying more attention to the guys that you wouldn't be paying attention to 4 or 5 years ago? You find yourself paying more attention to the preseason?
100%. 100%. I don't think, honestly, I won't, let me not say never, but in my life, I've probably watched 2 preseason games before this year.
Right.
Yeah, maybe now I'll watch it, whatever it is. If it's on the TV, if I'm out eating, or maybe I like a little sports bar or something, I'm like, hey, can you turn this on? I need to watch this, So yeah, I think so. I don't know what it is.
What it is what we're doing right now. That's what it is, because we got to talk about this stuff. So we got to be educated about it. So I would dip my toe in the preseason, because I might, want to see Grant Hill, because I know he's a rook and he's going to play a little bit. I might want to see Steve Francis. I might want to see Dwight Howard. I might want to see these guys. I'm gonna stick my head in and see LeBron James. But I know it's the preseason, because I know guys are not going to play that much, right? So I won't really pay much attention to it. But now I'm paying more attention to it, because these young dudes is playing, and I'm getting a better understanding of what this team is gonna look like with the rotation guys, and having to talk about it with you, having to talk about it with the fellas. So I find myself today, or as of recently, paying way more attention to the preseason than I did in the past. Way more.
Definitely. And honestly, so I said I went to the game the other night, and there was a lot because, maybe like the parody going on with in the Suns and the Trailblazers both being a part of those moves. Nurkic on the Suns, Aiden on the Blazers now, and so that was exciting. And even more so, now I think I'm want to pay even more attention to the bench players on these teams, kind of see what to expect in those second units. Yeah. And so I'm learning a lot more about that 8th, 9th, 10th man on the depth chart. That
way, when January come around, you're not shocked by Rashawn Holmes, because it's not like he came out of nowhere. You like, I was watching him in the preseason. I know where we got him from. I saw him in the preseason. I knew for a fact that he was going to be better than what you guys knew about. So you're not shocked by him at all, as opposed to come the middle of January or the end of January, you're like, yo, who the hell is Rashawn Holmes? Where'd we get him from? I wasn't paying no attention to this dude.
I hate when that happens. When somebody got to put me up on somebody on the bench, like when somebody comes to the game, I'm like, hey, who's that? And then they're like, oh, you don't know him? He played here, he did this. And I'm like, man, I'm supposed to know about this, I'm supposed to be a hoop head,
Right.
That's definitely that.
Right.
But have you seen who besides the obvious? Well, I'm not going to take Wemby and Chet and those guys out of it. But anybody else besides them that you've seen that has really impressed you in this preseason?
D'Angelo Russell. To be honest with you, D'Angelo Russell. I've been watching D'Angelo Russell, and he looks committed to whatever the goal is in Los Angeles. He looks committed to what they're trying to do. Him, let's see. Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons looks like he's back to what he was before the back injury, which again, Big Ox, I just have to accept him for who he is. I got to take off the table that, he's magic. I got to stop looking at him like that. I have to. Yeah. I got to stop looking at him like, he's Isaiah, and because I want him to be that. No, I just accept him for who he is. And he looks like he shouldn't have played last season. Right. That's what he looks like. He looks like he should have sat out last season. This season, he looks like, I'm back to playing basketball again. That's what he looks like. Let's see.
Two things about both of those guys. I love what D'Lo said in the locker room. Even though it sounded a little I don't want to say condescending. It did kind of sound like he was like, well, apparently I don't play defense. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you know, but it's like D-Lo, you wasn't playing the defense, bro.
You really weren't, bro.
But you know, but even though he said it, you know, that way, I think he might have said it just kind of to help his ego a little bit, but he knows. And so now he's you know, he said, now I'm trying to play D. You know, he played some real good D on De'Aaron that night. He did some things, so I was happy to see that. Happy to see that from him. And the other thing too with Ben Simmons, I don't feel like I'm gonna have to walk anything back with Ben because he showed that last year, you know. And so I'm happy to see him playing up to this level. But so up to now, my takes on Ben have just kind of been like it's over. But I'm happy it's not.
Another guy that I was paying attention to, Big Ox, and you'll probably get a kick out of this, but De'Aaron Fox. Instinctually, De'Aaron Fox looks like he's on another level. They playing against the Lakers in the preseason. I watch him on a give and go where he gets the ball out high and dives to the basket. He ends up getting the ball and diving to the basket as he's cutting. Whether I don't know if this was designed or not, Big Ox, but he's cutting to the basket. He's cutting, and Harrison Barnes is wide open in the corner. And by the way, Harrison Barnes is back turned. Harrison Barnes is behind him. While De'Aaron Fox is cutting to the basket, when I say that he's got two people around him when he gets it, in one motion, catches it and fires it to Harrison Barnes for a wide open three. I'm like, that's not something that you practice. That's instinctual. And for a guy to be that aware on a court, that tells me that, number one, he watching tape. Number two, he's working on his game. He's just not out there. So I expect big things from De'Aaron Fox this season. I expect him to take another jump. I do.
Yeah, I think it's kind of him, getting to the playoffs, and he got had some down like the last two games. He got hurt and stuff. But if you ask me, De'Aaron played great these playoffs. So I think it kind of was a boost, like like a confidence boost for him. So I hope that really translates. What did you think about Vezenkov?
I like him, yo. He's gonna help you dudes. I do. Yeah. I like shooting the long ball and like this. One of the things I figured out about shooters, when a shooter is confident when you running stuff for him. And y'all run a lot for him and y'all get him involved. And when you get him involved, whether he misses one and you go back to him and you go back to him again, that just boosts his confidence. I like him. He's gonna be big for y'all, Big Ox. He is.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
That's what I was saying, like, because and once again, I have been watching him because he's been playing with Shaq,
right,
over in Olympiacos. So
right,
I was when I found out he was finally coming over. Yeah, I was.
And I'm gonna keep it. And to be honest with you, Big Shaq, I still had a bit of the Euro tag on me. I ain't gonna lie about that. I still had a bit. He a Euro, and how is his game gonna translate to the pro game? Because you and me have had this conversation. Everybody that play in the Euro League can't play in the NBA. Everybody that play in the NBA can't play in the Euro League. Those two games are completely different. People think it's basketball. It's not. They play different in the Euro League than they play in the NBA. But from watching him, he looks like he's going to be really good for y'all, Big Ox. He's tough. He could get his shot off. He gets his shot off against anybody. Plus, I didn't know he was that big, yo. What is he, like 6'9"?
Yeah,
I didn't know he was that big.
6'9", like 6'9", 6'10". He's big.
I thought he was like 6'6", 6'7". I'm like, nah. I did not know he was that big. I did.
Yeah. That's why I like because he's real tall, he's built. He has a real quick release.
Yes.
And on top of that, what I think will come out more and more as the season goes on is that he has a good nose for the ball. Like he's usually in the right spot. Yeah. You'll catch him getting real timely offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds. So I hope he can get us to the second round this year. That's what I'm aiming for. Second round. We need to get second round.
Absolutely.
But I won't go too. I mean, you brought it up to the time, but I won't speak too much about how underrated De'Aaron Fox is. We'll just,
to be honest with you, Big Ox, just instinctually, him as a point guard, his instinct, that stuff. I haven't been. I pay attention to him, but I'm gonna be paying more attention to him this season because watching him just instinctually, just playing, like it's not orchestrated. It's not. This guy, he's watching the game and he's seeing the game 2-3 plays ahead. And when you see stuff like that, that tells me it just tells me that you're a student of the game and he's getting better. He studies the game. So I'm gonna be paying more attention to De'Aaron Fox this season than I did last year.
Right on. Quick super chat from my guy Sports PSP says happy belated birthday, Big Ox. Chill. Who's your NFL MVP? I appreciate that, PSP. Thanks a lot, bro.
I had Tua before the season started. I'm still on that Tua train. Miami got one of the best offenses. I know this is gonna sound ridiculous because I sound like a homer. Watch out for Brock Purdy, yo. That's all I'm gonna say. Watch out. The MVP is a quarterback award. The last defensive player to get the MVP was Lawrence Taylor in 1985. We're talking almost 40 years ago. The last player outside of a quarterback to get the league MVP, that was Adrian Peterson. That was over 10 years ago in 2012, right? So most of the time, the quarterback wins the league MVP. And if I'm looking right now at what the landscape of the league looks like, I had Tua to start, and I'm sticking with that. Brock Purdy looks fantastic. So ultimately, it's looking serious. If Brock Purdy would have won the league MVP this year, you ain't gonna be able to tell me nothing, Big Ox. Nothing. That's all I gotta say.
That's a fact. One thing though, Chitchat, and I like Brock. You know, most of my people are 49ers fans. You know, so I'm always up on the Niners. You know, I usually when the playoffs come, I default to root for the Niners. You know, I like the Niners, but this is my thing about getting Brock Purdy that NFL MVP this year. They didn't give it to Jalen Hurts last year. You know. And I'm a little salty about that, Chitchat.
He's in the conversation too. He should have been in the conversation.
To not give it to Jalen Hurts last year and give it to Brock Purdy this year will be that'll rub some people the wrong way, Chitchat.
But wouldn't it just be making up for a mistake though?
No, two wrongs don't make a right.
But it make us even though, don't it?
Yeah, I mean, I won't be mad at it, especially if Brock earns it. Especially if he earns it because he's playing great. Making passes that I didn't know he can make. You know, he's making really good passes through the middle and stuff like that. But hey, I'm not saying he's not worthy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's not worthy. I'm just like
Christian McCaffrey in that conversation too. I wouldn't be surprised if Christian McCaffrey won the league MVP. That would not surprise.
And so you said the last offensive player that wasn't a quarterback to win it was AP?
That was in 2012.
2012, yeah. So other than that, he's a straight quarterback.
And he ran for 2,000 yards that year.
He had to run for 2,000.
Yeah, he ran for 2,000 yards that year. He ran for over 2,100 yards that year. So,
we'll see. We'll see, man. The NFL season is exciting, and so the Niners and the Eagles are only last two undefeated.
That's what it looked like right now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, tomorrow we'll see what happens. But you know, last Saturday we were in the midst of making that best player in the year by year list.
Yep.
We stopped in 2003.
I had Duncan. I had Duncan in 2003. I had Duncan in 2003. Okay. Now in 2004, the conversation expands because I still feel like it's Duncan, but KG is now in the conversation. Now Kobe is not only in the conversation, the talk is getting louder. But the problem with Kobe, which boils my blood, this is why I have such a problem with the love that Kobe gets today. And the reason why I got a problem with the love that he gets today is because these people that love him today, he needed these people in 2004 and in 2005, right? These people that love him. Where were you guys at when he needed you the most? Because we're talking about a dude in Kobe Bryant, I believe it was in 2004, with all the nonsense that he was going through. And by the way, Big Ox, we didn't even know what happened. We didn't know what was going on. This dude is in arenas. They calling him rapists, and they talking all kinds of nonsense about him. Meanwhile, the dude is going back and forth from trials to games, and he averaging 30 a game. Averaging 30 a game while this is going on. And now the conversation with him is getting louder. But he's still considered the bad guy, even though we don't really know what's going on with him. Shaq is on the other side of he's still in his prime, but he on the other side, and he's still that dude. He's still that dude. But at that time, I still thought it was Duncan. And then the next year, it was arguably Duncan. I don't think it was clear-cut Duncan like it was in 03. I think it was arguably Duncan, because now the conversation with Brian is getting louder, with KG is getting louder. Shaq is still in that conversation. And then you go to 2005 with Duncan playing when Duncan playing at the level that he was playing. Tony Parker is now becoming what they hoping that he was becoming. Ginobili is becoming that, and that's largely due to how good Duncan is defensively. They go to the NBA championship, win the NBA championship. He finishes in the top 3, and I think he finished in the top 5 in league MVP votes. They win the NBA championship. They beat that Detroit Pistons team, which was arguably the best defense that the NBA had ever seen. They beat them in 7 games. Duncan was the Finals MVP. In 2005, Duncan is the best player in the game again. Then we get to 2006 with what Kobe Bryant had done. Averaging what he averaged and all of the points that he averaged and everything he did for that Laker team. It wasn't consensus, because I still thought that Duncan was in the conversation. I didn't think Steve Nash was in the conversation with Bryant. I thought it was Duncan, I thought it was Kobe, and I thought it was Dirk Nowitzki. James was starting to become that. James wasn't there yet, but he was starting to become that. I don't think he was there yet. So at that time, it was Duncan, Bryant.
So that quick, KG was no longer in the conversation that quick?
It's not that he was no longer in the conversation. It was just, when you're talking about being the best player on the planet, winning matters, right?
Oh, okay.
Winning matters. And the fact that KG was still in the conversation, though. Like I said, I think it was 05. Yeah, 05, I think they missed the playoffs. Then in 06, I think they missed the playoffs again. Right? I think they missed the playoffs again. So then, like I said, in 06, James was in the conversation, but he wasn't in the conversation at that point like Bryant, like Duncan, like Dirk Nowitzki. And he wasn't in the conversation like that, but he was in the conversation. Same thing in 07. I thought it was Duncan. And then in 2007, they go back to the NBA championship. San Antonio goes back to the NBA championship. Dallas is in the NBA championship the year before that. Because again, we're talking about being the best player on the planet. How long are you awesome? Number one. Are you winning? And you don't necessarily have to win the NBA championship, Ox. That's not it. That's not it. Winning the NBA championship solidifies you as that. But you cannot not have deep playoff runs consecutively. That can't happen. So then in 07, I felt like it was Duncan. I felt like it was Dirk, and I felt like it was Bryant at that point, in that order. And the reason why I felt like that, and again, I don't constitute the best player as just better at basketball.
Yeah.
And the reason why I just can't do that. And the reason why I can't do that is because there's so many things that factor into just you being better at basketball. It's not just, yo, I'm better at basketball than you. Yo, Kobe Bryant is better at basketball than Chauncey Billups. Chauncey Billups outplayed him in the NBA Finals. LeBron James is better at basketball than Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk Nowitzki outplayed him. So because you're better at basketball does not mean that you can't get outplayed. That's the difference right there. So I can't just go off of that logic right there that you're just better at basketball. So then in 08, and I'm gonna go straight from 08 to 10. And as much as I felt like James had now emerged, and however I felt about him, 08, 09, 10 solidified Kobe Bryant as the best. When we get to the 010 season, at the end of the 09-10 season, I think that solidified Kobe Bryant as the best player on the planet. As much as as whatever I felt about James, I could not deny what this is. I could. Right. This is, if I'm like I said before, Big Ox, if I'm staying consistent with my logic, league MVP in 08, first team all defense, took that team, they won 65 games with a mid-season trade like they did. The next year, I mean, they end up losing to the Boston Celtics, but they in the NBA Finals. They go deep into the playoffs. We're winning. We are competing to be NBA champions. The very next year, same logic. They go deep into the playoffs. They win the NBA championship. He's the finals MVP, even though James won the league MVP that year in 2009 and had one of the best seasons in NBA history. So no matter how I feel about James, this is what's going on. And if I'm staying consistent with my logic, same thing in 10. Same exact thing happens. James wins the league MVP again. Bryant finishes second in the league. So he's playing at that level. So what is the separator? The separator is winning. That's what the separator is. So at that point, James, as much as I felt that James was a better player, I couldn't deny the fact Kobe Bryant's the best player on the planet. And I can't fight that.
Right.
We get
real quick, Chitchat. Let me run through these two super chats. They're all about what we're talking about. Alexander X says, I was there with Kobe. How pissed off he was at Shaq for giving Miami the Shaq Kobe was asking for in LA.
He was there. I was there with Kobe. So. How pissed off he was at Shaq for giving Miami. Because we're talking about Shaq, who number one, he felt like he was ran out of Miami. He felt like he was ran out of Los Angeles, which he was. They went with the young guy, which I mean, that's customary. I don't think that's something that I don't think that's something that's unusual. What just happened in Portland, Big Ops? They drafted Scoop, and they're going with the kid. And the Lakers, they saw that Shaq was on the other side of who he used to be. Still was awesome, but they wasn't sure how many more years they were going to get out of him. Bryant, on the other hand, in 2004, are we talking about a 23, right, 24-year-old kid? Shaq on the other side, he's 32. He's getting older, right? So they went with the young guy. And now Shaq recognized, I don't want to make the same mistake that I made with Bryant. And he ends up telling everybody, this is his team. This is his team. Which, by the way, I want to make sure we clear, Alexander. The best thing that could have happened to Kobe Bryant was Shaq moving on. Because the Kobe Bryant we know today, he would have never been that guy. And the reason why he would have never been that guy, because Shaq would have never took a back seat to him. It would have never happened. He would have always looked at him as less than. Even though he wasn't. And we all knew it. We all knew how good Bryant was. Now, I will tell you this. I didn't know he was that good. I mean, I knew he was awesome. I didn't know he was 35 a game good. I didn't know he was 32 a game. I did not know that. I ain't going to lie about that. But I did know he was awesome. Right? I did know he was awesome. But Shaq would have never took a back seat to him because he always looked at him like the younger, like the less than, instead of doing what Jabbar did when Jabbar got older and gave the reins to Magic. We're talking about 3-4 more championships. Problem is that we would have never seen. I don't think we would have ever seen Bryant. I don't think we would have ever seen Bryant like we see him today had he stayed with Shaq. Because, like I said, Shaq would have never taken a back seat to him. It would have never happened. Yeah. I don't think he would have ever taken a back seat to him.
Right. And Kilver says Ryan Holland in a recent interview says that Paul Pierce was the best player in the world after the 2008 championship. Was there any convo of him being in at least top 5 at that time?
It was. It was him being the best player in the world. I'm not going to go that far, but definitely top 5. Because let's be clear about one thing, guys. Because you win the finals MVP does not mean that you're the best player on the planet. Because last I checked, Big Ox, I never heard nobody say Tony Parker was the best player on the planet. Never.
Right.
At no point did anybody ever say to me, Andre Iguodala is the best player in the world. I know that for a fact. I know that for a fact. And I know for a fact that I never heard anybody say Cedric Maxwell was the best player on the planet. Nobody ever said that. So the fact that you win the finals MVP does not stamp you as the best player in the world. There's got to be some other things that you're doing in order to be the best player on the planet. It can't just be, y'all won the finals MVP, so I'm the best player on the planet. No, that's not enough. But he was in the conversation, the top 5. Yes, he was.
Yeah, definitely in the conversation for top 5 for sure. Okay, so where are we now? We're in 2011.
Yes, we're in 2011. Okay, cool. We're in 2011, and at this point, I felt like James had jumped Bryant. I don't feel like he cleared him. I just felt like at this point, when they got to 2011, I felt like he got past him. And it still was close. The fact that they got to the NBA Finals and what he had done, as bad as he was in the NBA Finals, don't get me wrong, as bad as he was in the NBA Finals, getting there, just like with Bryant getting to the NBA championship, The fact that he got there, I felt like he had gotten over Kobe Bryant at that point. In 2012, I mean, it's still a conversation in 2011, Big Ox, but I think James was the best player in the game at that point. In 2012, I think it's James. In 2013, I think it's James. In 2014, I still think it's James, but the chatter is now getting louder with KD, considering what KD had done up until this point, leading the league in scoring, first team All-NBA, taking that team to the Western Conference Championship, taking that team to the NBA Finals 2 years ago. So the chatter with KD is getting louder. It's getting even louder. 2000, like I said, 2014, it's James, but KD is right there. 2015, I still feel like it's James at that point, jumping on that Cleveland team, who a lot of people don't talk about this, Big Ox. And I mean, you may disagree with me, but does it matter that when you get on a team, when you get on a team that has no experience in doing what you did, and you get them to where they're trying to go, does that matter in terms of you being one of the best players, or if not the best player in the world?
Well, I mean, it clearly shows the type of impact you have. It clearly shows that you got the ability to put a team on your shoulders.
Right.
So, and I mean, at that point too, especially, I mean, Brian has some big ass shoulders.
They was wide. They were this wide, Big Ox.
Yeah,
yes, it was. Absolutely.
So yeah, I think so. I think that definitely matters.
I do think that impact matters, and I think impact and winning tie in together. Your impact on winning. So in 2015, and again, if we're going to talk about this, I try to be as transparent as possible. Like I said, sometimes I might forget some things, and I might misspeak, but I try to remember as much as I possibly can. And in 2015, Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving had been to the playoffs these many times. This is how many times they had been to the playoffs. They get on that crew with James, who, by the way, doesn't have Kevin Love for the playoff run. He got hurt in that Boston
that's
series.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
He got hurt in that Boston series. Not only does he not have Kevin Love, who is his best rebounder, arguably the best stretch four in the league. Him and Blake Griffin, it's a real conversation between him and Blake Griffin. Kyrie Irving, not only does he not have Blake Griffin, but Kyrie Irving, this Atlanta Hawks team, Big Ox, they had won 62 games that year. And a lot of people talk about, Atlanta wasn't it. Just so you guys know, they were 14 games over 500 against the Western Conference. They only lost to Cleveland. They served everybody else. They only lost to Cleveland. With that being said, the Cleveland Cavaliers sweep them. Irv misses 2 of the 4 games. So that means he's out half the series. And James still throws them on his back with J.R. Smith and Delanadova, guys like that. And they win the Eastern Conference Championship. Now, you'll tell me, the Eastern Conference was so weak. Once again, folks, the Atlanta Hawks were 14 games over 500 in the 2014-2015 season. Not only were they 14 games over 500, they only lost to Cleveland. And by the way, the conversation is now getting louder with Steph Curry because he had won the league MVP. They had won the NBA championship. So now we're having a real conversation about Steph Curry being the best player in the game. Even though I felt like with the way I felt about him, and I didn't feel the same way about him as I did about Brian and James. I'm not going to say that, but because I never felt like Steph Curry was ever better than James. Never. At no point did I ever feel like that.
Not for a minute.
I never felt like that. But with that being said, I still felt like in 15 it was James. Then in 16, with the season that Steph Curry had, going into the playoffs, how they rolling like they were rolling. The conversation had gotten louder that, Steph Curry, the best player on the planet. Well, at the end of the 2016 season, I think that conversation was deaded.
Right.
Right.
I
think that conversation got deaded in 2016.
One second, Chitchat. 1 second, Chitchat. I got to go back a couple steps. Now, forgive me for going off topic here. Forgive me.
I'm with you.
A lot of people are talking about those Atlanta Hawks teams, which I said a moment ago. I loved those teams. I think I'm a huge Al Horford fan.
You dig
Al Horford. I want to ask you this, Chitchat.
Paul Millsap too. You talk about him a lot. You talk about Paul Millsap.
I love Joe Johnson. All those guys. That was one of my favorite teams.
Right.
So let me ask you, Till, because the Celtics they didn't get it in 2000. What was that? 22. The Warriors came and took that.
Mm-hmm.
If the Celtics don't get a ring before Al leaves, does Al get into that Hall of Fame?
Remember what the Hall of Fame is. It's not the NBA Hall of Fame. It's the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm. And in Florida.
Yeah. Don't forget about what he did at the University of Florida. Back-to-back national champion. I think he made the All-SEC team twice. I think he made the All-American team in the pros. I think he made the All-Star team 4 times. Made the All-League defensive team. I think he made the All-League. He either made the All-League defensive team once or twice. Made the All-Star team, I think 5 or 6 times. I don't think he ever made the All-Pro team. So that's where it gets murky with me, because again, I care about you when we're talking about you being an all-time great. The fact that you were never an All-Pro, I mean, I got a bit of an issue with that. But if you consider his entire resume, even if they don't, I mean, I think that there will be conversation about him. There will be a conversation about him getting in.
Yeah, that's the main reason I was so upset about that finals, the 2022 finals. I wanted Al Horford. I knew that he needed to get that championship.
Well, he's still on the crew, Big Ox. And who you got winning the NBA championship this year?
The Celtics.
And he's still on the crew, so we still got some time. It's not like it's over.
Well, right. Well, if they would have got that one in 22, I wouldn't be so worried about this one. Right. But okay. I just had to ask that real quick.
Absolutely.
Go back. Right.
Absolutely.
So we're
at 16. We're at 16 because I feel like James I think that got dispelled at that point. I think all the chat of who the best player on the planet is, I think that got shut down after that season. I think we're done with that. James is the best player, and Curry is still awesome, but James is the best player on the planet at that point. Then in 17, as good as KD is, I still feel like it's James. And I will admit, with Kevin Durant, I saw a different Kevin Durant in 17 in the NBA Finals than I did in 12. And I dug that. As much of a James fan as I was, I dug the fact that Kevin Durant looked like, yo, the dude you saw in 12, that ain't the same dude standing in front of you today. You got a different dude standing in front of you today, and you up against it. Now, does that mean that pushes him over the top? Nah, not yet. I don't think so. So James is still playing at a high level at that point. He finished in the top 5 in the league in Defensive Player of the Year, which, by the way, Ox, he's never finished in the top 5 in Defensive Player of the Year and never made the All-League defensive team. That's never happened until the 16-17 season. That's the only time that ever happened. So I still feel like it's James in 17. I think Kawhi Leonard is in that conversation. In 18, I think it's James, and I don't think it's a question. As good as James Harden was, as good as Steph Curry was, as good as KD was, I thought it was James at that point. And I thought it was James going away. Considering what they had done in Cleveland, they flipped that roster before the season started, and he had 7 new players, and then they flipped the roster again at the trade deadline, and he had 5 new players. So you're talking about 12 new players within a 6-month span, and he took that team to the NBA Finals. This is the same James who said during that season, Big Ox, he said, quote, as bad as they were, he said, quote, I don't think we should be on TV. That's how bad they were at one point. But he still manages to get that team that far. So with that being said, I think it was James, right? I think it was James in 18. In 19, I don't think it's James. Even as good as James is, he got hurt that year. He was in and out the lineup. I think the conversation had gotten a lot louder, even though I felt like James was still the best player, but the conversation had gotten a lot louder for Kawhi Leonard, considering what he had done in 16, considering what he had done in 17. I don't think they sweep. The Warriors sweep San Antonio if Leonard don't get hurt, Big Ox.
Oh, no.
I don't think they sweep them. As a matter of fact, I'm willing to go on record to say I think San Antonio got a real shot at beating them. They have blown them out on opening night. Blown them dudes out on opening night in the beginning of the 16-17 season. Beat them by 29. So I'm not on the fence when I say that what he had done in 16, being the defensive player of the year, in 15 and 16, being the defensive player of the year, in 17, leading that team to 67 wins. And then he got hurt in 18, but then in 19, he gets on that Toronto team and basically is the difference where he's the best player. I think at that point, as much as I feel James is still a better player and he's still at the top of the list, I feel like Leonard is right there at that point. And then in 20, and then in 20, and I didn't even mention Giannis. I didn't mention what Giannis had done, being the league MVP and the defensive player of the year. The conversation with him, he's entering the conversation now in the 18-19 season. Giannis is. He's entering the conversation. And then the same thing happened in 20, which, by the way, I think James would have won the league MVP in the 19-20 season had COVID not shut the season down. They were on their way to winning 60-plus games that year. He had outplayed Giannis the second time they played them. He had led the league in assists. I think that he would have won the league MVP that year had COVID not shut the season down. So I feel like back in 20, I feel like James was back in effect. And then in 21, I feel like it was Giannis. Because now the same logic that I'm using, like I told you, Big Ox, the same logic I'm using for Moses, the same logic I used for Bird, the same logic I used for Kobe, the same logic that I used for James, the same logic that I used for them is the same thing with Giannis. So Giannis in 18-19, he's the league MVP. He's the defensive player of the year. In the same season, takes that team to the Eastern Conference Championship. He's not ready yet. But he's getting close. In 2019, 2020. And by the way, I think they won 60 plus games that year, and they had the second best record either the best record or the second best record in the league that year in 19. And then in 20, they had the best record in the league. They won 60 plus games again. Him being the playmaker that he was, won the league MVP again in back-to-back seasons. Fast forward to the 2021 season, where that Milwaukee team with Drew Holiday in and out the lineup, with Brook Lopez in and out the lineup, he takes them to the NBA championship and wins the finals MVP. So if we're talking about in a 3-year span, like I said, if I'm using the same logic with Moses and all of these guys, same logic applies to Giannis. At the end of the 2021 season, that's the best player on the planet. And if I'm doing that, Big Ox, if I'm doing that, the same logic goes to Joker at the end of the 22-23 season. That's the best player on the planet.
Okay. So is that this year too?
Yes.
Like going into this year, he's going to be
going into this year. Jokic is the best player on the planet. Yes, he is.
Well, Chitchat, I would the people that made this list this year agree well, they don't agree with you. The ESPN panel of NBA experts has Giannis number 1.
Right.
Real quick, before we get into this list, though, let me grab some of the people in the back. Let me see how they feel about this up to this point, and I'll bring up my guy SB. What's up, SB? And we muted, fam.
Salute.
We also got Leaf Diggy.
Why you always come in here mad, bro?
Because the reason why he always come in here mad is because he is so wrapped up, and he wants to see Curry. He wants to see KD. He wants to see James. He wants to see all them dudes gone. That's why, SB. Yeah. And he can't accept the fact that we just ran down the list of why these. I just ran down the list of why I thought these dudes were the best player or in the conversation. He wants the new age guys, and he wants these dudes all gone.
For the record, OG, your list was not bad. Actually, I agree with him, probably like majority of your list. I probably will argue like the KD years with the Warriors maybe the best, and then a little bit with the Kobe in the beginning. But I actually appreciate the fact that nobody
KD did close the gap. I don't think it was like this. KD absolutely did close the gap.
And I wasn't surprised at the chat because as much hate that you get that you hate Kobe Bryant, you actually openly admitted that James didn't really truly pass it to 11. And even though it was debatable because everybody chat like 09, but everybody understand the fact the impact that Kobe had around that 09 from like that 07 to like 010.
From 07, 08, from 08 to 10. I mean, you
can't fight it. I'm gonna tip my hat to you because the chat won't do it to you, but when you know you just a Kobe hater, so I'm gonna tip your hat to.
Which is crazy because I don't hate the guy.
I know you don't. I know you don't.
I don't hate him. He's fantastic.
Let's go ahead and let Leaf get his rant off. We come in with the face.
Leaf, don't be such a grouch, bro.
Isn't he kind of sucks the energy out the room, doesn't he? That's what he is, man. Kind of just sucks the energy out the room. Like what we talking about. We ain't talking about shit.
Wait. Time out.
Leaf, you scaring the women, bro.
Damn.
Time out. This coming from the person that claimed I put more years on his life than anybody. That's what it's coming from. So now I go from putting more years on his life than sucking.
When did I ever say you put more years on my life, Leaf? You might take years off my life, Leaf. When have I said that you put more years on my life? You might take years off my life because of you.
We got plenty of footage of it, man. I'm gonna get to it later.
Please correct me, because I said you might take.
I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna get to it.
Straighten me out, because you might take some years off my life because of you.
You somewhat in a smiley mood every time I show up, man. And I'm like, all right, you know what? Let's get right to it. Listen, we stopped at 03. 2003, we all agreed that was Duncan, right? We right.
No.
2004. And the way that I do this, like in terms of year by year, listen, I agree with Chill in terms of not who's better at basketball.
Real quick, Leaf. If you hold on, Leaf. I know you're not about to run down your 03 2023. We do not got time for that, bro.
All right, we don't got time for that. All right, fine. So all right, fine. I ain't gonna do it.
That's like, hold on.
All right, listen. Let me reroute. Now, in terms of it was a couple of years. I definitely agree. 11 to 15, that was LeBron. 2016, I got Steph. 17 and 18, I got KD. 19, I got Kawhi. 20, I got LeBron. And I'm just going off the fact that who was the better player that year for those 365 days? Who was better more during that time than the other player? And that's all I'm really going off of.
Did you
now,
get
LeBron
Kawhi the best player ranking off the playoff run, because he barely played to see he was in out the lineup the whole season? How was he better than LeBron that year? It's just off a playoff run that he's the best.
In 19, James was in and out the lineup too.
But 19, LeBron was
19, James was in and out. He was in and out the lineup too.
More than Kawhi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Leonard played 50. I think Leonard played 55. I think he played 55, 56 games that year. I don't think James played that much.
To it, bro. Like, listen, that's fine.
I don't think James played that many games that year.
Yeah. But obviously 21 and 22, I'll give to Giannis. 23, I'll give to Joker. And the thing is, a lot of those times where the guys were the best players, I'm going off of how long they was the best player for that year, other than the previous player or the player that they in competition with. You know what I'm saying? Because some years it might be a guy that take the 04 year. I got KG, because KG all around throughout the entire year, all the way up into the conference finals when they got exited out, I thought he was the best player, more so than Shaq, more so than Duncan, more so than Kobe for that year. Just for that year. That's all I'm going off of. So year by year, that was my whole criteria on it, man. Like, and a lot of guys.
Do you remember that 04 season? What Brian endured that year, and how he was playing? Do you remember that? Because I remember that going back and forth from Colorado, like on game day. I got to get on a plane on game day, go to Colorado for a hearing, come back on game day. And play and drop 30 on somebody, drop 25 on somebody, and they win. And he was doing that a lot. It wasn't like he only did that once or twice. He was doing that he did that a few times.
Right. But Chill, I kept it all basketball, because during that time, but like that was just a hard thing to like really swallow, like in terms with the Kobe situation, like going back and forth the court and then to the game and then going to hearing and this and that, the third. That was a hard thing to really like even cover, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I left that portion out of it, and I just kept it towards basketball. Obviously, Kobe was amazing that year, and I think he took leaps and bounds to a legit top 3, top 5 conversation during that year. But in terms of the entire year, from start to finish, I thought KG was the best player that year. That's just me. In terms of his overall impact as the number one guy, as the scorer, the rebounder, and everything, and the anchor on defense, and everything that he had to do for that team that year, I thought KG was the best player that year. That's just me. Now 05, who did I have in 05? Well, 05,
that was the year Steve Nash won it. That was the year that Duncan, his team, won the NBA championship.
It was between Kobe and Duncan for me. That was the best.
I'm gonna go with Timmy. I'm gonna go with Timmy that year. 06 and 07 get a little tricky, because
It's Kobe, bro. Don't do that.
Why is it Kobe?
Nah, it's not that simple.
I think when it comes from when
it is that simple. Until
I don't think
Dirk,
it is.
it's only
Kobe
Dirk.
was literally separating himself from the gap as a player. The only problem with the Lakers around that time was winning, and his team wasn't as good. You knew as soon as they got the pieces to go to the next level, you seen what Kobe Bryant brought to the table. And it was to the point that it was so bad that he was on his way to down the street from my house at the United Center. And then they actually made the moves later on, and the team got good. And what happened? They instantly became contenders because what Kobe brought to the table. So don't try to sit there and act like Kobe wasn't playing like an all-time.
Nobody's saying that he wasn't playing like that. I got one question for you. With that being said, hold on, Leaf. I got one question for you. Since you've been watching basketball and you're from Chicago, so you know about the dude outside in the statue. When have we had the best player in the game miss the playoffs, get bounced in consecutive years in the first round, and we say that's the best player in the NBA? When have we ever done that?
Jordan in the 80s.
Never we did that. Never did we put.
They was definitely considered one of the best players. I ain't gonna say number one. The number one, no. Number one, no. But
that's my point.
One.
That's my point. We talking about the best player in the game here, Leaf. Because as good as Jordan was in '87, nobody had him ahead of Magic. Nobody had him ahead of Bird. Nobody.
It was a conversation, though.
Like I said, as good as he was,
but he wasn't over.
Nobody had in '88. As good as he was, the league MVP and the defensive player of the year, nobody had him ahead of Magic. Nobody had him ahead of Bird.
There's a difference between climbing the fence and jumping over it. You know what I'm saying? So like,
asking what about Kareem early Kareem career? Yeah.
Okay, so let's discuss Kareem really quickly. Kareem wins the league MVP in 75-76, right? In 75-76, he wins the league MVP. So he basically jumps on the Detroit Pistons, and they're a game away from making the playoffs. That's what the Lakers were when he gets on that crew. In the 76-77 season, the next year, they're in the Western Conference Championship. The very next year, they're in the Western Conference Championship.
Okay, so chill.
So was he still the best player before then?
Wouldn't Kareem be the best player in 77, not in 76?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure. I even though he won the league MVP, because I think they missed the play. They missed the playoffs in 74. I think they missed the playoffs no, they was in the NBA championship in 74. They lost to the Celtics.
74. Oh, yeah, against Boston, right?
They lost to the Celtics in 74. Right. And then in 75, he missed the playoffs. And in 76,
so who leaped them that year? So who would you give the edge to that year?
The conversation was with Bob McAdoo. The conversation was Bob McAdoo and Dave Cowens. These guys were in the conversation at that point.
Was they better than Kareem at that
time? I ain't saying that they were better. I never felt like Dave Cowens was ever better than
because Cowens won MVP in 74?
Something like that.
Something like OG. See, this is where our slippery slope comes in with that, because me and you both agree that winning does matter, got to matter at some point. You make a playoff. Because me and you both got Luka out the top 5 because they made the playoffs. But the reason why I argue Luka's situation is different because there's so many different guys that's right there neck and neck. I think around that time when Kobe was the guy around there when he wasn't making, I don't really think it was no other player that you could just say was like playing at that level. Who could you really say? Maybe which was
Duncan. Yes, Tim Duncan.
Remember,
this is what I want to do. And real quick, this is what I want to do.
Dirk won the West. He won the West. So that in 06, he got by Duncan. He got by Duncan, who was already lapping him on 05, and then in the early years. So you could make a conversation for Dirk in 06 and 07, but I'd rather give it to Duncan in 05 and 06, and then I'll give it to Dirk in 07, and then I'll give it to Kobe the rest of the decade. That's just me. Because I go to my criteria, who played better basketball that year in terms of impact on the team, in terms of their individual play, and in terms of their playing style and where that took their team during that year. That's what I go off of. So the only reason I can't give Kobe 06 and 07 is for everything that Chill said. You said 05 missed the playoffs, 06 bouncing around 1, 07 bouncing around 1. I can't throw him up there. It's
now I will say this, SB, because there are some people who will say, well, he averaged 35 a game that year. 81, that's crazy. He averaged 35 a game that year. 81 in a game, 63 in 3 quarters. Now, here's the problem. Here's the problem with that, SB, because if we're doing that, are we going to do that for Damian Lillard in 1920? He had 3 60-point games that year.
It's what other guy was playing like that? I mean, that's our problem. It's other guys there at that time where you can argue.
Damian Lillard had 3 60-point games that year.
That was putting up 60? Who?
Not 60, but playing that you still got KD. You still got KD, you got Curry. Bron, ain't about the 60. I'm playing all NBA level. That's the point I'm saying.
SB, 19 and 20. Who was given 60 in a game
multiple games
other than Dame?
Multiple games.
No, he had it that year, score-wise, for sure.
And
well, yo, fellas, we in the sake of pace, I got to keep it moving. We got a full lobby, full show. We already 50 minutes in. But
happy belated birthday, Bobby, and F you for putting that Knicks fan on yesterday, bro.
Whoa, what happened?
Yo, Lee, that was a great interview, Lee.
I don't care.
Shout out to the lovely Mill of Mill Media. She came in with some good
but
taste.
she collateral damage.
Y'all go check.
She blew a
Check out that
Bobby.
oxtails, man. That's crazy, Lee.
Hey, happy birthday too, Ox, my boy. Keep it up, man. Flex one time.
And again, I want to make sure that I'm clear, big guy. All right, fellas, y'all be easy.
And Bobby,
y'all be easy.
Chill town.
And I want to make sure that I'm clear. I ain't saying that he wasn't. I'm just saying that it wasn't undisputed. Like in 2010, however I felt about James, it was undisputed in 2010. Bryant's the best player in the game. It's not a question. It wasn't a question with me. As much as I felt Bryant was the better player, as much as I felt about this guy, it was not the same. It was not undisputed. There was a real conversation about other guys, a serious one.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, Belief, that was crazy saying that about Mill. That was a great interview. Let me see. We got a couple super chats before I get back to the lobby.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. My guy Teddy Hart with the super chat.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Teddy. Let's read this. Part 1. Glad you mentioned the 2020 would be MVP year for Bron. Giannis led most of the year with Bron as a close second. The last weekend of the season, when Bron won back-to-back against the Clippers and Giannis's Bucks, he had officially tied the race, if not edged ahead. Okay, now part 2 from Teddy. But people forget Giannis had gotten injured during that game and would have had to miss time, which would have gave Bron the open run to win the MVP to close the season out. Right after that glorious weekend, the NBA canceled the season.
We basically had a month. I think it was March the 15th. We basically had a month left in the season. 1 month. To Teddy's point, I think he would have won the league MVP that year had the season not gotten shut down. I'm confident he would have been the league MVP that year. I'm sure of it.
Man, Shutdown. I'm telling you, Bron fans, y'all will come up with any reason. Now COVID robbed Bron of the MVP. That's crazy.
And that's not to say that Giannis wasn't playing that way, because I mean, damn, Giannis was awesome. I think that James would have, considering he led the league in assists that year. They were at the top of the Western Conference. Anthony Davis was playing the way he was playing. So I think it had the season not gotten shut down, I think James would have won the league MVP that year.
Hey, that's fair. That's fair. All right, that's fair. I can't deny it. That is a fair synopsis.
Absolutely.
Let me go up. Let me go up to Alexander X. Jermaine. We're in the heat of the moment. That's where we were getting laughed at by the Heat fans, looking the big after the Lakers repeat. But factually, we never know what we get until it's gone.
I don't know if I understand that, but
I'm not sure.
I think I understand what you're talking about, and I'm to this day, while I'm sitting here talking to you right now, I'm pissed that Brian ain't around no more. I'm fuming that he ain't around no more. To watch that Hall of Fame speech, he should have been here for that. Mm-hmm. He should have, and I don't want to start cussing because I'm gonna get emotional about it, but he should have been here for that.
Yeah.
They're unveiling a statue of him. He should have seen that. Yeah. The fact that he ain't here to see none of this, how everybody loves him now. He should have been here for that. And the reason why I feel like that, because I was around when everybody hated him. I was around when everybody talked about him the way that they talked about him, how awful they were to him. And the fact that he ain't here now to see this, it burns me. Yeah. I'm pissed about that, man. He should have been here to see this.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm happy I came around to Cole when he was still playing. Like it was when he had hurt the shoulder, and they were saying that he shouldn't even be able to shoot because when you got that type of injury, you're not supposed to be able to lift your arm past that 90-degree right there. He was still balling. Then he tore his Achilles and got up and shot those free throws and all that. It was too much for me. I couldn't hate Kobe any longer. So I'm happy I came around to Kobe before he passed away. Yeah, because man. But hey, Alexander, we're a little confused on this super chat, so if you don't mind, maybe clearing that up, or if not, you don't got to send another super chat. If I catch it in the regular chat, I'll definitely clear this up because we are a little confused by that one, brother. But still appreciate it. And he did send another super chat saying Lakers, AD, Bron, curtains. Okay, here we go.
Absolutely.
Another one from Alexander. Does Kyrie have anything left to prove?
To the masses, he does. That he can be effective without James and go on deep playoff runs without James. Like, to me, he doesn't. He doesn't have anything to prove. He's the best ball handler that I've ever seen. And when he played with James, he showed that I can play with a great player and be awesome on top of that. He showed that. And I do think he regrets leaving James. I do think that. Yeah. I do think that he regrets leaving James.
That was a younger Kyrie. And I think even that what he did in those finals kind of even boosted his ego a little bit, which is fine. And I hate to have to say this, but Kyrie doesn't have anything to me to prove on the court. Oh man, so y'all don't take it the wrong way, but it's a little bit more off the court for Kyrie. I respect that Kyrie is his own person, and he doesn't let the fact that I'm an NBA player mean that I have to do certain things. But I do want Kyrie. You know what? For like, just play nice, Kyrie. But Kyrie, play nice with others. That's what I'll say.
You know who Kyrie was? You know who Kyrie was in 2016 or 2017? Kyrie was the young chick that wanted to see the world. James was the older dude who wanted to settle down and get married. And he's gonna turn the kingdom over to you. Because I'm on my way out. I'm gonna give you the keys to the safe. I'm gonna give you all the security codes. And she couldn't see that. She wanted to see the world. And then she went out and saw the world and recognized, damn, yo, I had a real good thing. And I probably should have stayed with that dude.
Right.
I probably should have stayed with him.
Man, that's going on every second of every day. That's happening right now.
Probably should have stayed with him.
Man, there's some young lady sitting on the couch right now just regretting those decisions she made last summer.
Probably should have stayed with that dude.
Hey, man, you live and you learn.
Yeah, you do.
Anthony Celestin, appreciate you.
Thanks, brother.
Alexander X, another one. Oh, my bad, we got that one. Yeah. But Anthony Celestin this time, Harden was the best player in 2009 and 2002.
No, he wasn't. No, he was not. No, he was not. Not because Giannis was still running around. James was still running around. So no, he wasn't. No, he was not. There was a separator, and we saw what James Harden did when he got to the playoffs, and how. I mean, we know who James Harden is. We already know who he is. Excuse me.
Where were? Oh, okay. So Alexander said to clear up that super chat, chill. You were asking where was Kobe fans during LeBron's reign? Did you ask that?
No, I didn't. What I was saying was all of these people who love Kobe Bryant today, you guys should have been around when he needed you. The one thing that I go back to more than anything, Kobe Bryant had a dream of winning the All-Star Game MVP. He had a dream of winning that. In his hometown, he had a dream of winning that. Getting booed in his hometown was not a part of it. That was not a part of it. So this love that the love that people have for him today, I just wish it would have been there when he was around, because he needed that. He needed you guys more than anything. He did need you guys. Don't get me wrong. That hate fueled him, but he definitely needed you dudes.
Yeah. Well, we got a couple more guys in the back. Let me bring up
Teddy, by the way. Shout out to Teddy, by the way.
Yo.
Yeah, sure.
Plug one in the house. What up,
good?
MC?
Oh, nigga,
Plug
you
one in the
good?
house.
But we got Baller, we got
What up?
Brax. What's up,
What up,
fellas?
Chill?
Let's
What
get
up,
it
Big
on. What we
Ox?
got?
Man.
Yeah, Baller, what's up, bro? What you got for us this morning?
I mean, I'm just listening to the chat, you know. I mean, honestly, Chill got it down pretty well. I do want to ask Chill a question, though, because I was looking at that 2019-2020 season.
Mm-hmm.
If Giannis doesn't get hurt, hypothetically speaking, and they just play the rest of the season off, and as B, would you have given the MVP to LeBron or to Giannis?
I think James would have won it that year. I do.
Really?
I do. I still think that James would have won it that year, considering what he had done. Now, as good as Giannis was, even on the defensive side of the basketball, Giannis was still an all-league defender. And you know, people talk about how bad James was defensively. He really wasn't that bad.
No,
right?
he was good defensively.
Yeah, he really wasn't
good
that
defensively.
bad.
He really watched the games.
Now, and Brax will say that because Brax, you looking at James from 2013. No, he wasn't 2013. He wasn't that good, but he wasn't terrible.
Now let me say, that's what I was going to say. If people were saying he was terrible, no.
That's what people say. People like, yo, James didn't play defense. He was garbage. Like, no, he was.
I thought you were saying he wasn't like what we expect from LeBron. But if you're saying people were saying he was terrible,
he was garbage defensively.
Okay.
He doesn't feel like he was not.
I can get with that.
True. No, that is not true. He still was damn good defensively. He still was. He wasn't chased down.
Yeah,
smashing it in the third row.
He wasn't LeBron. Yeah, I got
but
you.
He did have moments, right? He did have moments. I mean, He had
that one moment against Giannis where they were guarding each other, and then he scores on Giannis, and then Giannis tries to score on him, tries to bully him in the post, and he wasn't moving LeBron at all. LeBron basically showed him that you're not doing this to me.
He also had more moments than that. He had, what about in the bubble against Denver in the Western Conference Finals against Jamal Murray, shutting the door on him?
It's true.
So he had moments.
From what I remember, he had like lapses of both good and bad, which kind of put him in the middle. It wasn't like, you know, oh, I'm like super good this day, I'm super good. There were a couple of times where he like cranked it up, and there were also a couple of times where it's just like a mental lapse, and he just, you know, maybe forgot a rotation or just didn't feel like doing a rotation.
Like when Kyle Kuzma had to push him over to get to his man.
Stuff like that.
So, yo, where you at, my man? Where are you at tonight? Where are you?
Because we like, Brian, like, go out there, contest.
Right.
So it was a couple times.
You guys gotta rewatch that game, though. You guys gotta rewatch that game, because I actually watched Thinking Basketball has a video on that game, and he was actually protecting at the rim the whole game because they were missing so many assignments. Rewatch that game, like actually watch the game. If you rewatch that whole game, I promise you, LeBron was actually playing defense, and that's why he had to help. People didn't see; they just seen Kuzma throwing him to the corner to drop to go to.
And the reason why Kuzma did that was because Kuzma, again, basketball principles. If I'm getting through the screen and you just standing there, and my man is over here, my natural instinct is to get you to your guy. Because my guy is over here.
Baller. I can't get with that one, Baller. You got to
watch it. You have to watch the game.
I don't regardless of watching it, regardless of how many times somebody got beat to the rim, you got to rotate.
It's a miscommunication and like just lack of rotation kind of thing. I mean, it happens to everybody, but I'd say that year is when it started getting like prominent with Bron. He did it more than he often did, basically.
And you can see the decline. You can see him going this way defensively. But the idea that he was terrible defensively, that's where I had such a problem.
Terrible is a stretch.
He was not garbage. No, he wasn't. He was not garbage. I think that's a stretch. No.
Even against I think it was against the Clippers where he stopped at the end of the game. He stopped Kawhi. They passed it to Paul George, and he got right up close to him, and he stopped him from making the three. I mean, again, like when LeBron wants to be, he can be an elite defender. It depends on whether or not he has.
He still had it. He still had it.
Yeah, that was the thing. When he wanted to, when he absolutely like wanted or needed to, that's when he would be like, okay, let me defend, or like let me actually lock in on defense, kind of thing.
I'm gonna be honest with y'all dudes. When Denver bounced the Clippers, I was like, ew. Because I didn't want. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I didn't want nothing to do with the Clippers. I just didn't like that
matchup in hell.
I didn't like it. I did not like that matchup. I didn't.
What if the bubble doesn't happen?
That's what we needed. That's what we needed to see right there.
I did not like that. I think that there are plenty of teams that win the NBA championship because matchups matter.
Simply because of matchups.
Matchups matter. Matchups matter. And when the Lakers ended up avoiding the Clippers,
Yeah.
I was like, phew.
Missed out on a great matchup though. That would have been an actual. That
It would have
been
been an amazing matchup. But yeah,
I don't think they beat them. To be honest with you, I don't.
They don't.
I don't think they beat them. I don't. I think the Clippers beat them. I don't think they beat them. I don't. And as a James guy, I wasn't a Laker fan. I was a James guy at that point. I wanted to see him win it again. And when the Clippers got bounced, I was like, they could beat them. Okay, they could beat them. But these dudes, no. I didn't like that matchup at all. No.
But isn't that the same year where Paul George was sitting the side of the backboard?
That don't mean nothing.
Pandemic P.
I think the Lakers would have been fine. I just think that the Lakers that year, when after LeBron beat the Bucks and the Clippers in back-to-back games, and he closed out both games, I was like, I think the Lakers.
That was the stamp for me. That was the stamp when he was the league MVP.
The best player.
That's when I thought he was at that point, I felt like all he got to do is just be solid the rest of the season, and he's going to win the league MVP. That's what I felt like at that point.
His Giannis was just.
You talking about 2020?
2019, 2020.
Yes.
1920.
So Kobe shut the season down.
Okay, so you said you would give it to LeBron over Giannis. Can you
Giannis?
What were your reasons again? I forgot.
Well, number one, the Lakers were at the top of the Western Conference, which was a lot tougher at that point. That's number one. Number two, James had led the league in assists. The way that Anthony Davis was playing, that was largely due to James. The way that Kuzma was playing, that team. And again, we're not talking about the best player in the game. We're talking about the guy who's the most valuable. And what James was doing for that Laker team was just as valuable, if not more valuable, than what Giannis was doing for the Milwaukee Bucks. I thought he was more valuable for what he was doing.
I mean, this is my only counter argument to that. You're talking about a guy that was averaging like 30, almost 14 rebounds, like 5 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, and they were number one in the league.
I was just about to say that.
And the second best player is Chris Middleton. The third best player is Eric Bledsoe. Chris Middleton is just a basic all-star, whereas LeBron was led with Anthony Davis, who was like literally a top 5 player. So that's the only reason. If you asked me who's a better player, I probably would have said LeBron. But based on the criteria of how the MVP has been given, who had a better season, I would just have to say Giannis. That's my.
I'd say this criteria. I mean, I'd probably give some pushback on the criteria thing because criteria changes every year. But
does it though, Brax? I mean, there are some anomalies. Don't get me wrong. There are some exceptions. Like Russ was an exception, and Joker was an exception. But for the most part, it is the criteria is pretty solid.
I think best player on best team.
I think it changes. Energy. I think it changes between the same topics. Like one year, we're focusing on best player, best team. This next year, we're focusing on this. It's the same 3 topics. They just focus on which one fits like
their narrative
that year.
Facts.
And for that year specifically, I think it was just going towards Giannis' way anyways. On top of what Baller just
wonderful
said.
Year, though.
And yeah, he had an amazing year regardless. And plus, Chill, I think you said something about LeBron was on his way to 60 wins. Giannis and the Bucks were as well. Like it wasn't
56 and 17.
Yeah, exactly. Like they were 4 games away from getting 60 wins as well.
Right.
So I think everything you could say for LeBron, you could also say for Giannis. And
that's the point. Like, I don't think it was like this or this. And then, like what you just talked about, Baller, the fact that when they had beat the Milwaukee Bucks and the Clippers in that weekend, and we're talking about a Laker team that at that point, don't forget, they had a top 5 defense that year too. That was largely due to Anthony Davis. But the fact that they had a top 5 deep, that was largely due to Anthony Davis.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, absolutely. That was largely due to Anthony Davis, but they had a top 5 defense. So we're talking about a team that was on their way to winning 60 games. James is leading the league in assists, averaging 25 a game. We got one of the best defenses in the league. We got arguably the best team in the league. We definitely got the best team in the Western Conference in terms of record. I think that and what we can't leave out, which is the most important thing, narrative matters. And I think that James would have edged him. I think that would have been the separator. Those 2 games that you talked about, And I think the narrative had changed, and I think James would have edged him.
It was starting to change too, but it just depends because I think that Anthony Davis had like a really, really strong year. That's like one of his best seasons.
I think he should have been.
I
In
was
the, I think
just
he
about
He
to
was in the
ask.
conversation
I
though.
think he should have been in the conversation for the
I was
league.
gonna say I was just about to ask.
conversation,
Wouldn't you
but
think
that's kinda
he
changing
would
it.
have a better conversation than LeBron?
I think that he
MVP?
should, to be quite honest with you, from a narrative standpoint, it was going to be James, and I think that he would have won it. But if we're talking about if we being honest about, there's never been the best the leading scorer on a Western Conference team that's in first place, leading scorer. He led them in points, rebounds, and blocks. That's the league MVP right there.
That's what I was about to say. It's like, I mean, production wise,
right
it
there.
probably should have been AD.
He finished 6th in league MVP votes. 6.
Crazy.
But I mean, it's also because like you gotta understand, it's also like leadership. If you watch the Lakers games, when LeBron would go out, their team would just fall under. They had no direction. LeBron was the coach on the floor that would get the guys. He'd move the pieces. It's the chess game that he plays with all the teams that is just different from pretty much every player I've seen in my life. Like he plays a different game while everyone's playing checkers. He's playing chess. He's thinking way ahead of the time.
Do you also think it could be a legacy or a name thing too?
I often wonder why people say, you playing checkers, they playing chess. Hey, Big Ox, what game can you play where I can see your moves? Like it's not like you surprising me with anything. I'm watching what you're doing.
That's true.
I mean,
but
is
chess
that advanced?
Yes, I still think
advanced.
I still think chess is about 3 tiers more advanced than checkers.
Like I can see what you're about to do. Like the plays you run.
Strategy though, it is complete. You can see what somebody's about to do.
I've never played chess. You gotta play on the actual board.
So for me, it's like, with chess, I'm making you look left whole time so I can go right. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm doing all this fancy stuff over here whole time. I got my bishop right here. I'm about to tap, you're out of there. So
this is really what it is. Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah.
All right.
But fellas, we do got to keep it moving though. Appreciate y'all pulling up. We got a full lobby. We still got some more topics to get to. Appreciate you, Brax. Appreciate you, Baller.
Y'all
pull up on Wednesday.
All right, plug one, my man. Be easy. James B, shut your goofy ass up. Troll ass. James B is another one of the dudes in the cafeteria that's at the back of the cafeteria telling jokes until I throw a carton of milk at his head. And you don't see him saying nothing else. Give me a break.
Chill. Just saying that, man. That one of my top movies, House Party. That's my favorite scene, that cafeteria scene in House Party. Oh, I love that scene. He said, yo, this punk motherfucker throwing shit at us. I was dying. I love that scene. That's my favorite scene. Let me get one more group up here before we move on to these next topics, though.
Hey, hold on. This dude in the chat called Benny Blanco, whatever his name is, calling me a liar. Benny Blanco, let me make sure I'm understanding this correctly.
Let me see where we at.
These 94 players, these players, those look like perimeter guards to me. I'm sorry. Let me make sure that I get this correct. Those look like guards. Let me make sure that I hold that up there.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, put that on the big screen. Those are guards. Yes, those are all guards.
Yeah, that's definitely the guard list.
Right. So I think the problem that I have, Big Ox, is when people say stuff like, "Yo, you lied." Do you understand what a lie is? A lie is to intentionally deceive someone. I'm trying to trick you. That's not what I did. I'm showing you the information.
James B, I'm not sending the link out, bro. You're not gonna click on it.
No, he's not. And if he does come up, because he has come up before, he won't say nothing. He'll just be it'll just be crickets from him.
All right. I mean, the lobby's almost full, James B. I'll send the link, but you're gonna have to wait your turn, bro. And if you get up, man, don't let me hear crickets, James B. I'll kick you out the lobby every time you get on. But yeah, let me get this next group up because I know they're not gonna just sit stagnant. I know they're gonna talk. Bulletproof, what's up? C-Dub, what's up? Buddy, what's up? What's going on, y'all?
What up?
What's up, fella?
Happy birthday,
What's up, fella?
Appreciate that, Bulletproof.
Hey, man.
Hey, C-Dub,
buddy, I'm just saying, buddy, you're talking to the cops now, so you might want to relax on, It might get a little tricky for you in here, B. I'm just saying, you know, we're talking basketball, but you are talking to the cops. So, you know, you want to. Do I need to step out the room, or do we need to step to the side or something like that? I don't want to get you in no trouble. I don't want to get you in no trouble now.
You good, chill, man. Man, we good.
Make sure. I don't want to get you in no trouble. All right. Anyway, as you were saying, C-Dub.
Yeah, C-Dub, what's up? Can you tell the people what you got going on, PC?
Oh,
Just
yeah. What's up, by the way, before I get started? I enjoy both of you guys, basketball minds, Chill and Big Ox. I'm actually co-hosting with SB on C Red. So I got an echo on. Somebody got echo crazy.
Yeah, I got it. I'll just take care of it. I think so.
I'm doing the C Red on PC with my man SB. We rocking it out every what is that? Tuesdays and Thursdays, I think. So y'all make sure y'all tune in. We chopping it up, going crazy the way Chi-Town do it. You know what I'm talking about? So, hey,
I've been to Chicago.
Chill,
Chicago is dope, by the way. I want to put it out there. I've been to Chicago a couple times. Chicago is dope.
Hey, I appreciate that, man. We need kind words like that. We need kind words like
Chicago.
that.
Even though Chicago wild as hell, it's still dope. I've been there a couple times.
To tell you honestly, it's wild in a couple places. It ain't wild everywhere.
But that's everywhere. It's wild in New York. It's wild in Jersey, right? It's wild in Los Angeles. You know, it's spots that if you know the streets, it's spots that I know that I should be over there. Yeah. Right. I know that ain't the part of town that I need to be in because it get wild over there. So
Oh, bro. I was listening to you guys talking about 87 and Michael Jordan and Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. Big chill down. I respect your words. Could you break that down just real quickly for me, real quick?
When we're talking about the best player in the game, and the way I was raised, winning matters. And as fantastic as Jordan was, he was in year 3 at that point, at the end of the 86-87 season. He was in year 3. Magic had already been established. In fact, not only was Magic already established, he had a breakout year that year. That was the year that Jabbar turned over the reins to him, and he became the best player on the team. So he led the league in assists. He was 23 and almost 13 that year, 23 and 12 that year. They had won the NBA championship. Bird came off of winning the league MVP 3 straight years, and they had won the NBA championship the year before that. Jordan was becoming that player. So if I can think about a player today, think about SGA on steroids. That's what I want you to think about. Think about SGA today, how people talk about SGA, but times that by 10. That's how he was talking about Jordan. Like, this dude on his way. He ain't there yet, but he on his way.
Okay, I agree with you on some of that point. I do agree that winning matters a lot of times when you talk about the best player, but we can compartmentalize, can't we? Michael Jordan was absolutely the best player in the game, I think. I respect your opinion, Chilltown, but I think he's the best player. But he didn't have the best team around him, and I think Larry Bird and Magic Johnson absolutely was getting their team in the right position in the NBA in that point in time. So that you could probably call them the best player, team player in that time frame. But Michael Jordan, I think, is head and shoulders individually was the best player at that.
If we're talking about just basketball players, I don't feel like that in 87. By 89, we're having a different conversation. We're having a completely different conversation.
That's fair.
Completely different conversation.
His numbers was crazy. I ain't got it.
Yeah, we're having a different conversation at that point. Completely different.
I respect that.
Didn't he lead the league in scoring in 89 too?
And in 88, and in 87, and in 90, and in 91, and in 92, and in 93, fucking scoring machine that he was.
Let me ask you a question, Chill. If you had to pick one of them 3 players to start your franchise at that point in time, who would you have picked?
Well, it was a big man era. So
that's a good question, though.
It was a big man era.
Come on, Chill.
Oh, I'm being honest with you. It was a big man era, and at that time, Magic was the quintessential franchise player. I'm getting a big man, and I'm gonna build my unit around the big man, and I'm gonna get Magic. I can't. Jordan was basically if we're being honest, I'm not gonna say Jordan was a mistake more than he was an aha. Because remember, that whole team that Jerry Krause built, Jordan was the only guy that he didn't pick. He picked everybody else. And when did Jordan get established as the franchise player? He got established as that franchise player after the 86 playoffs. when they played against the Celtics. Yo, wait a minute. I think I got my franchise player. Now let's get this dude some ballers because I think we have an opportunity to win it. As opposed to when you got Magic as a point guard, just like Detroit built their unit around Isaiah, just like Boston built that unit around Bird. That wasn't the case with Jordan initially because we wasn't sure what he was. You wasn't building your team around a two guard. That wasn't happening back then. It was either the lead guard or it was the big man.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, it's
right. You're right.
My bad, Joe.
But what I don't want to do, C-Dub, I want to make sure that I'm clear. Jordan was fantastic. I want to make sure we clear on that.
I just found it hard to believe that you would pick those guys in front of Mike.
I just want to make sure that because I'm thinking about as good as Jordan was at that time. Holy shit, he was incredible. He was. He was, B. He was
crazy, man.
Right. So, Bulletproof. I know you were in the private text. You said you wanted to ask Chill something about Kobe and Shaq. Did you already ask that while I was going on?
No. What's up?
No, I haven't asked yet. So I want to ask about Kobe and Shaq because I know you have Shaq like 10th all time and Kobe 11th, right?
I do.
Yeah. Okay. So I actually don't have a problem with each placing specifically, but I have a problem with them together because I think when you're talking about a three-peat, someone has to get the flowers. Like not many teams in the history of the games three-peated. And even the dynasties that won 3 championships separated, like the Lakers in the 80s and the Celtics, they had a much better supporting cast. It wasn't just 2 players. Kobe and Shaq were just 2 players. Yes, they had a better team in the year 2000, but in 01 and 02, the third best player was averaging like 9 points. So they did not have a better supporting cast than any other dynasty. Even like in NBA history, every other dynasty in NBA history had better role players than them. And when you look at these two, the fact that like it's either that you have Kobe so high that you think he was a superstar already, an MVP level player already, and in that case you usually would have him higher than 11, or you think they were on different tiers, that Shaq was in a tier of his own and Kobe was below that. And in that case, if Shaq was so good that he could three-peat with any other all-star guard, why isn't he like top 5? Why isn't he in the GOAT debate? Like, what does he need to do else to solidify himself in the GOAT debate or even like as a top 5 player other than winning a three-peat with only really one guy playing basketball?
Well, 2 things. Number one, that Laker team, like I think you're looking at those other teams, the Celtics. I think you're looking at the Detroit Pistons. You're looking at the Lakers. Those in the 80s, I think you're looking at them as individual players. I think you're discounting how important it is when a unit is together for a long time. So it wasn't like it was just Kobe and Shaq. They were rotating guys. No, Derek Fisher was on that crew for a long time. Robert Horry was on that crew for a long time. Rick Fox was on that crew for a long time. And when you have these guys together for that long of a period of time, you get that continuity. That's number one. Number 2, when I think about what Shaq was doing, well, he didn't three-peat with any other guard, but he almost did. Because if we're my man C-Dub is from Chicago. If Dwayne Wade doesn't get hurt in 05 against the Pistons in the Eastern Conference Championship, I think they dropped them.
Yeah.
I think they dropped them.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They end up winning the NBA. They end up winning the NBA championship the next year. And with them winning the NBA championship the next year, there's no reason for me to think that and going into 07, if you wanted in back-to-back years, that they wouldn't be the favorites again. So Shaq was more – there were things about Shaq that could have been better that weren't. Like the fact that Shaq never led the league in rebounding, not one time. Shaq never led the league in blocks, one time, not once.
Oh, you're talking about that Rondo team.
Hey, Chill, you said if the Heat would have beat the Pistons in 05, they would have won the championship. That's what you're saying?
I think that they win it. I do. I think they beat the Spurs. Okay. I do. I think they beat the Spurs. I do.
I don't think so, but I mean, if Shaq was that good, that already gives you more reasons. Like, you've already given me more reasons to have a problem with your placing of Shaq. If he's good enough to win like 6 championships in 7 years, what are we talking about? Like,
well, he was in the NBA Finals 5 times. He was in the NBA Finals 5 times in 7 years. He was that.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, if you're putting Kobe down, you have to put Shaq up. Someone has to get these flowers. And you already said that you think Shaq would have beaten the Spurs, and
I
you
do
think
think
he
that.
could have beaten the Spurs again in 07? I
Only
mean,
except
what else does he need to
here's the difference with that logic, though, buddy. He didn't. That's the problem. He didn't. That's the
He
point.
did, but you said there were outside circumstances. Like with
Right.
LeBron, we don't like LeBron has outside circumstances almost every year. He's been playing at an all NBA level for 19 years, and he only has 4. That's as many as Shaq. You're talking about 6.
Are we dealing primarily with championships? Because that sounds like that's what your logic is. Your logic is based solely on championships. That's it.
No, it's because of like he was in the finals 5 of those, like 5 of 7 years, and he was injured in 03, and in 05 Dwayne Wade was injured. So like what I'm saying is, if Shaq was that good, and he did have longevity too, because 05 he finished second MVP, and that was year 13. He was like 33 years old. So he checks all the boxes for me. And if we're looking at outside circumstances as to why he didn't win these extra championships, well, he has 4, and so does LeBron, and so does Curry, and Hakeem has only 2. Like, what for example, what makes Hakeem better than Shaq? What makes Larry Bird better than Shaq?
The separation was on the defensive side of the basketball with Hakeem Olajuwon, and with Bird, and with Bird, how awesome he was for as long as he was awesome. The consistency with him, there was no. It doesn't sound like my logic works with you. So Shaq is number 10. So we're gonna have to agree to disagree.
No, I just want to hear
championships.
my argument was.
And no, your argument is your stance is based solely on championships. That's all.
No,
That's what your
I'm
stance
not
is.
talking about just championships. I'm talking about longevity. I'm talking about longevity until year 13 from his second year. And I'm also talking about the reason the other players you said are ahead of him is usually based on things that he already has. It's not like he's lacking
What do you
in
mean
these
things
things.
that he already has, such as?
Yeah, like I said, longevity, consistency, and even on defense, he only started not being an elite defender when they changed the rules and removed the 3 seconds. Hakeem did not live long enough in the NBA. I mean, to be tested like that. We don't know what Hakeem would do without the 3 seconds. Shaq before the 3 seconds was arguably the best defender.
I got a question for you.
Shaq ever
That's
elite
not
defender?
I got a
Yes, he
question
was.
for you.
Yes, he was.
You think he was?
Yes.
Shaq in 2000 was one of the
buddy?
best defenders in the league.
You said you had a question, buddy?
Yeah, on the Shaq and Hakeem topic. Who would you say peaked higher, Chill? Hakeem or Shaq?
They both have the same numbers moving forward. Like Olajuwon averaged 20. Olajuwon was almost 25, 13, and 4 blocks. Shaq was 25, 12, and 3 blocks for 10 years. I think that in terms of a peak, even though Shaq did what he did from 2000 to 2003, was that better than what Olajuwon did? No, I don't think so. What Olajuwon did from 94 to 93 to 95. I'm listening.
I know, one more question. Out of those two, because C-Dub just asked the same question, who would you prefer to start your franchise with, Hakeem or Shaq?
Oh, I'm on record, buddy. If you drafted and Hakeem Olajuwon is on the board and you pass, you are fired as a GM. You are fired.
Out of there.
Whoa.
Get out. Pack this shit. C-Dub. I'm talking about you don't even get a severance package. Get your ass out of my building.
Get out. If Olajuwon is on the board and you pass, you are fired.
I have one last question.
Get the hell out of here.
Can I ask one last question?
Yeah, for sure.
You mentioned 2019. I think you had Giannis and LeBron. Why isn't Steph Curry in that conversation? Because when Steph was worse than LeBron was healthy, so I get that. I've never considered Curry better than a healthier LeBron until the last 2 years. But before that, like if LeBron is injured and Steph was the best, doesn't that put Steph ahead? Why isn't
I don't
Steph
have a
in the
problem.
conversation?
I think he's in the conversation 100%. I do think he's in the conversation 100%. I do.
Okay, fine then.
Yeah, I absolutely believe he's in the
Okay.
conversation.
Conversation for
100%.
Nice to talk
what? For
to you.
what though, Chill? Conversation.
In 2019 to be the best player in the game, 100%.
Oh,
Considering what he had done
okay.
from 15 to 19, absolutely. Because
No, I ain't hear
see,
you. I ain't hear you.
again, when I think about the best player, it's not just year to year. It's not okay, you weren't good this year, but then the next year, that's why I have a problem with SGA being a top 10 player in the game. I got a problem
Yeah, I
with
don't
that.
agree with that. I don't
I
agree
got
with
a
that.
I got a problem with
too.
SGA being a
Way
top 10
too
player in the
early.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, what has he
for sure.
done?
That's crazy.
What has he done to jump Donovan Mitchell? What has he done to jump Devin Booker? What has he done to jump Jimmy Butler? What has he done?
That's
Okay.
that's
No,
those are
that's the
Amen.
right question. Yeah, that's the
Amen.
right question to ask.
good questions.
That's the right
Yeah,
question.
I wasn't like upset about it, but I was confused about it, and I just don't understand what's the reasoning behind that. It makes no sense. Like
Right.
you can show this young man love without doing that. Like
Yeah.
that's just a little too far. But fellas, we do got to keep it moving. Appreciate y'all pulling up. Appreciate all y'all
appreciate
takes.
y'all.
Stay up, man.
Yeah, right on. Y'all catch us on Wednesday.
No
Bro.
question. No question.
Appreciate
I see y'all.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mhm.
James B has arrived.
Can you hear me?
What's up, James B? You Barry
y'all hear
Sanders
me?
with glasses looking like ass.
Of course, man. I know you're.
Hey,
Can y'all hear
my man under me. How do you say your name, bro?
Me?
Fernandez. Yeah, how
Yeah,
you say your first name?
John. It's just John.
Oh,
John Fernandez.
Okay.
Yeah, the English translation is John, so you can just call me John.
Okay, yeah, because
Gotcha.
in the English language, we got a bunch of words that just don't make no sense. You know what I'm
I'll
saying?
just
We got
change it
words
to
that
John next
I
time.
thought it was
I'll
Joe. I
change
thought it was
to John
Joe
next time.
Al. To be honest with you, I did. I thought it was
we
Joe
Yeah,
got-
a lot of
I've heard of silent ends. I
Yeah.
never heard of ends that's not there. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
that's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope, John. Okay.
But it's John. I'll
Good stuff,
change
good
it next
stuff.
time. I'll just put
Gotcha.
John.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Don't
That's
change
your
nothing,
name.
bro.
That's the way your
That's
name is
bro.
spelled.
Don't
That's
change
fine.
nothing. I gotta get educated on how to pronounce your name, bro. You keep it how it is. But what y'all fellas got for us?
Go ahead. I'm listening.
I have something I don't agree with you on, and it's your top 10 list. And it's not James or Jordan. It's more so a little bit on the back end. And correct, you have Magic ahead of Bird. Am I right?
James, Jordan, Jabbar, Chamberlain, Russell, Magic, Bird, Duncan, Olajuwon, Diesel.
Okay, so why do you have Magic ahead of Bird?
Because he surpassed them later on. The same reason why James is around for as long as he's around, and I don't want him to be around that much longer. You can stick around too long and get surpassed. And I feel like Magic surpassed Bird later on. I don't think during the early to mid 80s that he had surpassed him. I feel like from 87 on, he had surpassed Bird.
Do you think from a skill set standpoint, or just like the fact that he won more championships?
I think the championships matter, but from a skill set, I think that they're very similar. I don't think Bird clears Magic from a skill set. He could shoot the basketball with the best of them. Magic developed the mid-range. Magic couldn't shoot the long ball like Bird, but he did shoot the long ball. He definitely did that. I think Magic was a better transition player. I think that he was just as good I think he's the best playmaker in NBA history. I mean, I think he's the second best playmaker in NBA history behind James. But
do you think Bird's better defensively, but Bird was a good team defender, right?
More than anything, I think he was a better team defender.
Right, and he does
and Bird,
have those
and Bird was
all-league
solid. He was a solid individual defender. Magic wasn't as bad an individual defender as people think he is. The fact that he played with James Worthy, the fact that he played with Michael Cooper, the fact that he played with Jabbar, that helped him. And they were able to protect him. But Magic could play defense. Now, he wasn't Sidney Moncrief good. Don't get me wrong. He wasn't Drew Holiday good as a defender. Marcus Smart. No, he wasn't that good. But he was an average defender.
Do you think the fact that somebody like Bird won 3 straight league MVPs, do you think that signifies the fact that he was the best player in the 80s? The fact that he won 3 straight, you don't think he was the best player in the 80s?
I don't
he won
think
3
that,
straight.
because you win the league MVP does not make you the best player in the game. Don't get me wrong. The best player does win the league MVP, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you are the best player in the game. Because you could say the same thing about, Magic, where, Magic could have won the league MVP 3 straight years. He won it in 89 and 90. I think he finished third in 88. And in 87, he won it. So he won it 3 times in 4 years.
The fact that he won it 3 straight times in those 3 years, do you think that Bird was the best player? Do you think he was the best player when he won those 3 straight?
In those 3 straight years? I'm not sure if he was the best player, but I think Jabbar had gotten old. I think Magic was there, but he wasn't there yet. So
he was entering the conversation?
No, he was already in it. Magic was already in the conversation, but I don't think that he was like in 85, even though they had beaten the Celtics, he wasn't there yet. He was close though, but he wasn't there yet. Bird, when they won the NBA championship in 86, Bird made a little bit more separation with winning the league MVP and winning the NBA championship again. And then Magic at the 87, when he won the league MVP, they won the NBA championship and led the league in assists for everything that he did. I think that's where the separation became. Now, for those 3 years that you talk about, I think you can make a legit argument that Bird was the best player in the game. But in 84, it was a little tricky because Jabbar was still around, and Jabbar was still awesome. Bernard King was around. He was still awesome. Moses Malone was still one of the best players in the game. So it wasn't clear-cut that Bird was the best player in the game in 84. In 85, he started to make a little bit of separation. And in 86, I feel like he had solidified himself at that point. But those other 2 years, there was other people in the conversation. And it was a very strong conversation.
So do you think it was in 89, 90? That was when Magic solidified himself as better than Bird, right?
No, I think it was 88.
It was the 88, 87, 88, or 88, 89?
I feel like 88 was when he passed Bird.
So it was 88. And what was your reason as to why he passed Bird?
Still playing at that high level. Not only playing at that high level, leading the league in assists. The skill set was there. The separator was winning. He had beaten Bird the year before that, and then they had won the NBA championship again in back-to-back seasons. Nobody had done that since the Celtics did it in the 60s. So, and Magic was the catalyst to that because Jabbar had turned over the reins to him, and I think that at that point he had solidified himself. Up to that point, he had solidified himself as the best player. And on top of that, Magic had gotten better as an individual player. I feel like he had solidified himself at that point as the best player in the league.
Yeah. John, we have gone over this in depth a few times, brother. Let me see what James B got for us, man. What's up, John?
Oh yeah, chill. When you had Derek Jeter as a top 10 athlete, right? I was gonna ask you, how long did you watch baseball?
What up, fellas?
What up, B?
What's good, bro?
How long did I
watch baseball? Because when you talk about
Derek Jeter is the best baseball player that I've ever seen in my life. He's the best that I've ever seen.
So
and I believe Mets blue. Darryl Strawberry is my favorite player of all time. But Derek Jeter is the best.
So he was better than Barry Bonds to you?
Yes, I do. Because Barry Bonds didn't do anything in the playoffs. Nothing. Nobody got it done more when it had to get done more than Derek Jeter did. Nobody.
But look at the team. No, I'm saying though, look at the teams that Derek Jeter was on.
I'm not buying that, man, because that's not the way baseball works. The reason why I'm not buying that because I watched Alex Rodriguez win the league MVP in 2004, and the Texas Rangers was at the bottom of the league. So it's the best player in the game.
Right. When you talking about
so
Barry
I'm not buying
Bonds.
that. I'm not buying that.
Barry
Bonds was don't get me wrong. Derek Jeter was not Derek Jeter. Barry Bonds, you can make the argument he might be the best hitter of his generation. The best hitter of his generation. But
doesn't
when I think about
most home runs,
yes, he does. Yes, he's the all-time home run
about baseball.
Yeah, he's but when I think about as good as those teams were that Derek Jeter was on, he still had to perform in the playoffs. And if I remember correctly, Barry Bonds has been to the playoffs numerous times, and he's got a 200 batting average. 200. He's not very good in the playoffs for his career.
Is he the GOAT baseball player?
Who?
Barry Bonds.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
He's not in the conversation.
I think he is in the conversation, but I don't think he's the best ever. Derek Jeter is the best I've ever seen.
Who do you think is the best ever?
Derek Jeter.
Derek Jeter.
How is he better than Ken Griffey to you?
And I'm president of the Ken Griffey fan club. Let's make sure we clear on that. Injuries derail Ken Griffey.
But I'm telling you, Seattle Mariners Griffey clears Jeter in every way. That's what I'm telling you.
He was
a better defender. He was a better hitter. He could hit.
What does this have to do with him being an athlete? We're talking about athletes. That's what you asked.
He was athletic too. He was playing center field.
Right. And Derek Jeter played probably the hardest skill position in the infield at the shortstop.
Yes, but he wasn't that good though. He wasn't that good at shortstop. He wasn't better than A-Rod as a shortstop. He was not better than A-Rod as a shortstop.
Who wasn't that good at shortstop?
How many golden gloves compared to How many Derek?
You just said Derek Jeter wasn't that good at shortstop.
That's exactly what he just said. That's sort of kind of what he said.
It's no James B. It's no way you just came up here and said Derek Jeter was not a good shortstop.
Bro, he has negative 162 defensive runs saved. Do you know how many runs that is that he's not saving?
Are we in here talking about baseball? Is that what we doing? Okay, I'm cool. I'm cool. Yeah, I'm cool.
He's a bad defensive shortstop. He's the worst ever. If you look at the numbers, I'm telling you.
Worst ever?
Yes.
No, I'm not saying he's the best ever, but
the worst
ever. The worst ever.
So he's the worst ever compared to who, James?
I'm telling Alex Rodriguez was a better shortstop than him. He was.
He was a better hitter than Alex.
Okay, Rodriguez. And if that's true, that can be fine. But you're saying that Derek Jeter wasn't a good shortstop,
and he was a better hitter than Alex Rodriguez.
I'm talking about as a defensive position, Ox. He was not that good. He was not that good of a shortstop.
You just said he was the worst ever compared to who, James?
Everybody else as shortstop.
So in the history of MLB, there is nobody that's worse than Derek Jeter at shortstop defensively. Nobody.
If you have negative 162 defensive runs.
I'm straight, B. I'm good, man. I'm good.
But you told me he's a better athlete than Ken Griffey, Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez. That's not true. You know that's not true.
Yo, D, what you got for us, D?
I'm straight.
Oh, man, when y'all was talking about that Kobe conversation, I had a little bit on that one. I feel honestly from 2006, 7 to like 2010, I believe he was the best. His teams weren't the best, but he was playing. But I believe he was probably the best player in the league at that time. I think LeBron became it in 2011. And 06, there was conversations with Duncan and Kobe, but I think Kobe legit ran them 3 years for sure. Like, people were in a conversation with him, but I think he ran that, and also with the Giannis and LeBron thing. That is that year with the COVID. That is a hard one to say, because you can swing either way. Either way, depending on how you look at MVP. I do feel like the criteria does change up a lot and goes with the narratives a lot. And in one case, I feel like I think the second year Jokic won it. I thought Giannis was at that year.
What in terms of the criteria, D? In terms of the criteria, how does the criteria change?
It changes. No, I'm here. It changes in reference to, like, is it the best player or not?
Well, no, that's the problem. Sometimes the best player is the most valuable. It's not always the best player on the best team. Sometimes
Joe, do you think the media depends it? Do you think the media controls what the narrative is? Like sometimes, because every year it's different. Because when Russ won it, it was about the triple-double. Right, but it's not like Russ stopped averaging triple-doubles after that year. He averaged more triple.
That was really bad from that aspect. But this dude just told me Derek Jeter was the worst defensive. I'm still stuck on this dude telling me that Derek Jeter was the worst.
It's true.
Shortstop in Major League history. Big Ox, do you know what a Golden Glover is in baseball?
What is that?
I'll let James tell you. I'll let James B tell you what a Golden Glover is in baseball. Tell everybody who's the guy who wins the Golden Glove.
Well, I don't usually use Golden Glove because sometimes you can win the Gold Glove and not be that good at the position. But it's basically the best position at which you play defensively. So basically, if you won a Gold Glove at shortstop, that means you were the best shortstop to the media. But
So if that's true, James, if you win it one time, right? Let's say you won it once, okay? Then we make a mistake. Derek Jeter won it 5 times.
But
they got it wrong 5 times. Is what you're saying?
Imagine
that's what you're telling me.
Chill.
They got it wrong 5 times.
Chill.
5.
Chill. When he won those, A-Rod was at third base.
That's not the point.
Yes, it was. He was better than him. That's what I'm telling you.
That's not the point. The point.
James B, I'm fine with you saying A-Rod was better at that position. I'm cool with that. Whatever.
Right.
Whether I agree with it or not, I'm fine with you saying that. But you said, Derek Jeter was the worst shortstop.
Yes, defensively, he is the worst shortstop ever. I'm telling you, it's okay.
Bro, does
the media vote on the golden
They got
glove?
It wrong 5 times, not once.
So
they got it wrong 5
does
times.
the media
votes for the Gold Glove? Yes, they do. They do.
Hold on,
Chill. I heard you one time say that the Baseball Hall of Fame isn't very accurate, right? Because
I don't have any respect. I don't have any respect for the Baseball Hall of Fame. The best players to ever play ain't in it.
Does the media also vote for the Hall of Fame players?
They do.
Yes,
they do. Okay, so could a case be made that they actually did botch all those votings for the Golden Glove?
5 times? 5?
Kind of like how they botched the Hall of Fame.
Hold on, John. Hold on, John. We gotta hear from James B. D-Bell, John. I appreciate y'all. We gotta hear from James B. Okay.
Hell no,
just
go
ahead because we only got a couple minutes left, and I got to hear a couple more things from Showtime about the top 10 list. No. So James B, come on, give it to us real quick. Bring the reference, James B, and give it to us. Come on.
The fact that Alex Rodriguez moved over to third base, that doesn't negate how Derek Jeter is still having to play shortstop.
He was better than him. A-Rod was better than. That's what I'm telling you, though. Chill, and then they had to move him. To be honest, he didn't have that much range as shortstop that y'all think he did. He didn't have that much range. He had a good arm, but he really should have been playing second base. Jeter was not that good of a shortstop. That's all I'm telling you.
When he won the Gold Glove, at shortstop. When he won the Gold Glove at shortstop.
Yes.
Was Alex Rodriguez on the team?
Yes, he was. I think it was only one year that A-Rod wasn't on the team. I think the rest of the years, Jeter had won all of them because A-Rod was at third base. If A-Rod was playing the shortstop position as long as he should have been, he would have won those Gold Gloves. It wouldn't have been Jeter. I'm telling you that. And then you talk about
I still have to play the position though, James.
Wait,
that's the point that I'm making.
You said Barry Bonds had 8 Gold Gloves. Then that's your logic, right? So he should be. Barry Bonds had 8. I think Ken Griffey had about 10.
I never questioned who. Whoa. I never questioned who Barry Bonds was as a defender. I questioned who Barry Bonds is in the playoffs. That's what I said.
I know.
This is what you're doing. This is what you're doing.
Chill. Let's look at the 2000 World Series, the 2002 World Series versus the Angels, right?
Yep.
I believe Barry Bonds had like 3 home runs, and he got walked.
He had 440. I think he had 440 that year in the World Series. Now, this is what I want you to do. I want you to rewind the clock back. I want you to rewind the clock back to when they played the Mets the year before that in the playoffs. He hit under 200. They got bounced in the first round. I want you to rewind the clock back. To him in the playoffs when he was in Pittsburgh. He was not very good in the playoffs. That's who Barry Bonds is. No, you won't give me that because what we're doing is we're going in circles. This is what we're talking about. You started with Derek Jeter being the worst defensive shortstop. Alex Rodriguez moved to third base, which meant that Derek Jeter had to play the position. If he doesn't play the position, who's going to play it?
It would have been A-Rod.
Okay, so it was Derek Jeter. Is that correct?
Yes, but
then what did he do while he was playing the position, sir?
Chill. You're going around in circles now. Chill.
No, I'm not.
You are.
You told me he was the worst defensive. You said he was the worst defensive shortstop. When Alex Rodriguez moved to third base, Derek Jeter, who was at shortstop, still was winning Gold Gloves at shortstop.
But you wouldn't have won Rodriguez was playing that position. That's what I'm telling you.
If Alex Rodriguez, just because you can do my job does not mean I'm not good at my job.
But he's doing it better.
That doesn't mean that I'm the worst. If you can do my job better.
That's the problem I'm having, James B. That's the problem I'm having, James B. You keep saying he's the worst shortstop of all time. It's crazy.
No, I'm saying he had negative 162 defensive runs saved. When I'm talking about defensive runs saved, that means how many runs are you saving at your position? If it's negative 162, chill. You know how many runs that is? He's not saving
in 20 years.
Yes,
in 20 years. So in a 162 game season, in 20 years.
No, chill.
Come on, man.
James B, that's basketball, James B. That's
exactly what it sounds like, Big
Ox.
That's basketball, James B.
No, it's a Pacific year. He did that. You got
and what I also want you to do, James, is I want you to tell Ox what's the Silver Slugger Award. Tell him what that is.
Okay, that's basically it's basically it's where you're pretty good at hitting the baseball.
Not pretty good. No, don't shortchange it. Tell Big Ox
you're basically the best. You're basically the best at your position.
So I'm basically the best at my position. So as I want to make sure I'm understanding you correctly. The Golden Glove, I'm the best defensive player at my position. He did that 5 times.
Right.
Silver Slugger, I'm the best at my position. He did that 5 times.
Okay, Barry did more than that. He probably got more than that though, chill. Ken Griffey has more than that.
James B. Hey, James B. I'm a super baseball casual. I know about baseball because of my mother. I love going to baseball games, so I can't say who's the best and worst, but I love Derek Jeter. I can't stand what he said he's the worst.
And again, I'm president of the King Griffey fan club.
No,
there's nobody. You can't say nothing to me about King Griffey. The reason why King Griffey isn't up there, really quick, Big Ox. The reason why King Griffey is up there because injuries derailed his career. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was healthy, I don't think this is it. If he would have stayed as healthy as long as Derek Jeter would have stayed healthy, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We would not be. But injuries derailed his career.
James B, I gotta let you go. I appreciate you coming and spinning this into baseball. Hey, that was good conversation. We need that. Hey,
right,
Ron, where PC baseball at, man? These fellas.
I know it got to be coming, right? It got to be coming.
Hey, James B, make sure you get on that show, bro.
Maybe we can put some people on.
I've been saying it in the chat for how many days? I've been saying it for months now.
Well, you actually know what, James B? I'm sabotaging because you're going
so
to
be so James B is a baseball guy. That's who he is. He's a baseball guy who trolls basketball on a basketball show.
He's trolling baseball too. That's I'm gonna tell Ron now. James B gonna be up there talking bad about Derek Jeter.
He's a baseball guy.
We can't do it.
We got you. All right, yo. All right,
appreciate
James B with glasses looking like that.
All right, James.
Okay, chill.
Oh man. All right, James. We appreciate you, fam.
Appreciate you too.
Oh man, that's good stuff. Hey, Chitchat, I know we're a little bit over time. You got time to speak on you got any time to speak on?
We're gonna have to move this to because we get into the suits. They on our case. So
yeah, for sure.
We're gonna have to move this to Wednesday. Because the suits is on us right now, so we definitely went over budget. We definitely did. They better not take it out of. They better not take it out of my check. Man.
It
might come out of my check, Big Ox. It might come out of my check. So I'm just saying, if it come out of yours, I'll reimburse you, big fella. I got you.
We went over time for y'all. Yes, people, we love y'all. We love the viewers. Love everybody that pulls up. So we were happy to do it today. But man, great show. We'll see y'all Wednesday. We'll see y'all Monday on the panel as well.
Absolutely.
Chitchat?
Yo, call your mother. My mother's birthday was just yesterday, so call your mother. Drink water. Man. Do not drink and drive. And put on a suit, man. Make you just put on a suit and get fresh. That's all. Yeah. So until then, fellas, take it light, but take it.
All right, y'all.
No doubt.